Welcome everyone to DevVenture with MTK. This is the fourth live stream for project AstroMiner, the space shooter game. And I think the plan for today is to modify the player controller such that when we press the fire button, that the grinder barrel will start rotating. Like that. Okay. So let's begin by attaching to the miner vessel the player controller as well. So we go to scripts, player behavior .gd. I'm just thinking about this. Do we need to have the same script for each player? Or can we have separate scripts and just load the different kind of player into the scene depending on which mode they choose? I think let's do that. Let's have a separate script for each player ship type. Otherwise, it's going to get a little bit complicated for no reason. And I'd rather not do that. So let's do that. Let's create a new script. If I go to the file system under scripts, so assets, not that one. Here we go, scripts, player. So let's rename this to be if you're hearing noises in the background, that's just because it's extremely windy over here today. And things are rattling and making a noise. So let's close this file just for now so we can rename it. Why can't I rename you? Okay, you know what? We're wasting time. Let's make a new script here. We'll call this mining player behavior. Let's just undo the underscores. Don't need those. That's fine. Okay. Right. No, we need that there. Okay. Extends character body 3D. Yeah, let's say copy everything and then paste it into the new file. And now we are free to modify as we see fit. Alright, so this ship doesn't need the guns or the plasma bolt, but it does need the pause menu, so we'll keep that. Okay. Yeah. We don't need the shoot function. Well, yeah, we don't need the shoot function. We don't need the cooldown either. So let's get rid of can shoot. And then take out the timeout. And then this as well. Okay, so let's go through this. It's got the rotation factors, the rotation angle, acceleration, minimum, maximum speeds, displaying the speed, managing the pause. It's got the speedometer and the reading for that speedometer. That's good. Current speed, pitch yaw roll amount, velocity, minimum, maximum rotation. Now that I think about it, we don't actually need these anymore, do we? Let's just check. Yeah, we don't. Alright. On ready. The hints label we need. Capture the mouse, yes. And state changed. So for those of you who are wondering, the ready function is the function that runs as soon as a scene begins, right? So when I press the play button and I start testing the game, this is the first code that is executed for any node that is present in the scene. All right, so if I go to a scene like scenes, testing scene, testing seek behavior, maybe not that one, test flight. All right, so you can see here we've got the player ship. The player ship has its own scripts and things. Actually, let's open up the firing range. Here we go, that's better. Firing range. You can see here each target has a target behavior script attached to it, and the player ship has the player behavior script attached, which means that when this scene is executed, when it's run, the first code that is run in the scene will be from the player behavior script's onReady function. All right, so that's this one here. That's this code here. Okay, it will run this code, and then under target behavior, it will run this code. All right. And so basically what it's doing is it's connecting the signals for the health and then initializing the health, which if I just go to health.gd, health.initialize, here we go, emitting those signals. And the way that the signals are connected, it will then set the max health, set the current health, and then it will come back to the target behavior, and it will be done because it's called the initialize function. It's a bit strange compared to ordinary programming, the way that the signals are able to jump around like that between multiple scripts. But once you get used to it, and once you know the system architecture for your game, it's not too bad. It's still a little complicated, and you kind of do need to keep either a mental map or um, a diagrammatic map, right? So you've got your scenes, and you're like, okay, well, this scene is connected to that one by the signal, and so on. And whichever way works, you know. So let's do this. So we've got the ready function on pause state manage. Pause state change. We've done that. This has to do with rotations. Let's not bother with that right now, because we know that it works from the player behavior script. And then toggling the pause menu, this also works fine. Let's not touch that. So here's where things have to change. If the event is mouse motion, here we can see movement.y and movement.x. All right, and that just controls the pitch and the yaw. It's a little confusing why the Y rotation is influenced by Y movement on the mouse, and pitch rotation is controlled by X movement of the mouse. It seems the opposite of what it should be. Okay, let's ignore that for now. Okay, so the input is fine because it works. And then in physics process, this is where most of the things happen. So let's check here. So we've got the original position, the original velocity. If the player presses UI up, all right, and UI up, if you want to know what that is, then you go to your project settings, you go to the input map, and you can check it over here. And then we show the built-in functions. You can search for UI up, but we don't have to because here it is. You can see that it's either the up key, which are the arrow keys, the up key of the arrow keys, or if we're dealing with a joypad or a controller, it would be button 11. Otherwise, the W key, right? So W, A, D, and S. So up, down, left, right. And then if we don't want to see all of these UI controls, we could just take away the built-ins again. Okay. So UI up and down is W and S, so up and down. That will accelerate with plus equals and decelerate with minus equals. Then we've got the hard brakes, that's fine. Recenter the rotations. If the F key is pressed, if is action just pressed, rise and fall. Did I implement rise and fall? That's an interesting question. I don't think I did. Project settings. What is rise? What is fall? E and Q. Okay, so the logic is there, but it's not working. That just means that I haven't made it actually update down here at the bottom. Okay, that's fine. We'll just ignore this for now and fix it later. Because again, if we want 6 degrees of freedom, right? So 6 degrees of freedom refers to being able to manipulate an object by translating and rotating, excuse me, on all 6 axes. And the best way to illustrate that would be with an example, something that doesn't look the same in all orientations. So a scissors like this, right? So this is one axis of rotation, right? So that would be, in this case, your rotation about the y-axis. Then we've got rotation about the x-axis like this. That is pitch, right? Because if you think about it, you control the pitch of the object like that. And then we've got roll. Roll is this way. All right, so that's translation about the z-axis. And then we've got the translations on each of the axes, right? So forward and backwards along the z-axis, left and right along the x-axis, and then up and down along the y-axis. And I've got all of it except up and down, right? That's what rise and fall is for. I currently have input detection for them, but I don't have movement implementation working for them, and I'm not sure why. But at least now we know that there is a bug that needs fixing that I didn't even realize. I must have forgotten about. Okay, so we've got the current basis, current rotation. Roll input. So that's if they press left or right with A and D. Oh, actually pressed A there. If the absolute roll input is greater than 0, then actually do a rotation with quaternions. Okay, so we know that there's a problem with the up and down, rise and fall, right? Now I need to add in input detection for shooting again, and then have a function that manages the shooting, like I do for player behavior. So we'll just bring that back and modify the shoot function. Because again, that's the beauty of modular code, right? It's that it should just work. It should just work. We just have to modify what shoot does. So let's do that. We go to the shoot function, which is over here. And we'll just put that back. Where was it? under here. There. Okay. So now we have our shoot function. We just need to define its behavior. In this case, we don't need an if can shoot because the mining barrel should be able to rotate no matter what, at least for now. Maybe later on we can make it such that the mining barrel actually has a health, and when the health is depleted, or in so-called, like, in other words, when the barrel is no longer able to function because it's been damaged too much, then it can't so-called shoot and it won't rotate. For now, we can just keep basic implementation, keep it simple, and then build on it. Alright, so now we need a variable onReady Okay, so just in case you don't know what I've just done, the dollar symbol here in the Godot engine with GDScript represents a node path. Alright, so I could have used the getNode function, right? So what I can do instead is I can comment that out using the hash key, and then I can say getNode. And then add a node path like this. All right, but it's easier to just use a dollar symbol like that. It does the same thing. And the general way of doing it is just with the dollar symbols. The common practice. And so this is the node path. All right, so from wherever this script is, it should be able to find the grinder arm. So if I go back to the scene, the grinder barrel, right? So the mining vessel should have mining behavior. If I go to scripts, there it is. It's got mining behavior, and that means it can have the grinder barrel in that path. All right. Now we've got a variable we can use. And what I can do now is under shoot, I can say mining barrel dot rotate. We want it to rotate on the x-axis, right? So you can see that x-axis, okay? So that would be 0, 1, 0, 0. And then an angle x rotation is pitch, so we'll say pitch rotation vector. Oh, you have to define it as a vector 3, I see. Like this. Okay, shall we test it? Let's go ahead and test it. The mining vessel needs a camera, of course. So let's do that quickly before we test it, so that we can actually just create a test scene. Because again, we need to be able to test this, right? Once we have the basic movements for this, we can create a test scene where we put the mining vessel down and we place some dummy asteroids in the environment, which are basically going to be targets with an asteroid tag or a mining tag, right? And then when the grinder arm collides with an object that has both the target tag and the mining tag, it will decrease the health of the target and increase the amount of resources that the mining vessel contains. And then again, so we can, well, not again, but I mean, we can actually set the total capacity of the mining vessel such that once it reaches its capacity, it can't keep mining. It has to go and offload at the mining station. And then once it's offloaded, it can go and mine again. Eventually, we'll have the setup on the game in such a way that we can have the mining vessel upgrade in certain ways, right? So the grinder battle will become more efficient. It will be able to destroy an asteroid faster and yield more resources from asteroids by becoming more efficient at how it grinds, so it doesn't waste as much. And then also upgrade the amount of storage on the vessel, so it's able to mine for longer before having to offload each time, right? So let's do those quick changes. We can add a camera. If I go to the player, we can see that the camera is here. Let's just copy this as is, put it under the mining vessel here. Like that. And now we can just adjust the camera. All right, so now we've got this preview over here that we can use. Oh, I see. So here you can see this is the way the camera is looking, and that's a preview of the camera. And if I rotate it like go to transform, change rotation. So you can see rotation 0. That's good. And now I can change the Y rotation by 90. Oh, my mistake, 180. Yes. And then move this back. And move this up. Something like that. And then forward. Or back. No, forward. Just kind of get an idea of what we're seeing from the camera's perspective. Okay. Yeah, that's good. And then we can make this the main camera. Current is on. Excellent. Okay. Then I can test the scene. Property key visible. Implicit ready. Camera speedometer reading. Oh, okay, okay. It's complaining that these nodes are not found because the node path is not the same from the way that I specified it in the script. So you can see here it would be mining vessel is the root. So it would just be camera 3D slash control slash speedometer. All right, and that's not what it sees. If I open up the script, let's go find it. Here we go. There's your problem. Like that. And try again. Still one more problem. Camera control in mining behavior 35. Let's go find it. Oh, here we go. Why not just make a node for that? Let's just do this. And then paste this here. It's easy, you can do that. You can actually just reference a node directly, but it's easier to just define it on the top and then use a variable name instead. And it's more descriptive this way too, right? So I can say camera dot visible is true. Save that. stop the game, and run it again. Still got a problem. On pause state changed. Okay, it's because I keep using the nodes directly instead of just using a controls hint label. Right, let's do this. Copy that, put it down here. We'll say onReady variable controls hint label, and then paste it there, and then just use that instead. So controls hint label. Just make sure we're not using any other nodes directly in the script. Once that's confirmed, then we can go ahead and test the scene. Alright, so physics process is fine. Double pause. On pause state changed. Ready, set, go. Stop the runtime and try again. Still, what is this? On line 10, camera control hint label. Oh, of course. I forgot to take away this bit. It should be just camera 3D. Now we can have our scene working. Okay, and it doesn't look like it's moving around. It is. Watch this. If I change the firing range to include the mining ship instead of the player ship, let's do that. We go scenes, entities, mining vessel.scene. And then I focus on the mining vessel, move it away like this, and then save the scene and run that scene. Why are we falling? Just as I thought. The player seems to be falling for whatever reason. That is odd. But the one thing that is bothering me, that I thought was wrong and is actually wrong, is this. Not this. I had it. It was here somewhere. Input. Here we go. We'll have to swap these around. So cut and paste. Cut and paste. Okay, that's sorted. So if, in case you're wondering, the reason why the yaw and pitch were flipped around for the mining vessel, I mean the military vessel, is because the way that that ship was imported, it was in a strange orientation, and instead of correcting that and then building my script around it, I decided to just work with it, which was a mistake. But now, because we have separate behavior scripts for the different player modes, I can actually fix it this time. So let's just deal with it as we go. Alright, so now we can say save the scene and load it again. Why are we moving up? Unready? Is it not setting the velocity or something incorrectly? Maybe this. Rise and fall? Could this be the problem? If I comment this out, let's see. Toggle comment. There it is. Okay. Now let's test it and make sure that it's working. No, we're still falling upwards. Why is this happening? Which movement is this? When we change forward motion, ship velocity, here it is. And I come down here and I say ship velocity. Where is it being used? Nowhere. So when I press forward, current speed. Okay. And when I initialize the game, current speed is 0. So why is it moving? So unready, camera visible, mouse mode captured, pause state changed. Okay. This is taking too much time. Let's try and find the solution using DeepSeek. I know I'm using AI, but in my defense, it goes faster, and I will make sure that it doesn't fix the problem for me. It just tells me what the problem is instead. Okay, so let's do this. Here is some of my code. Okay. There is a strange bug. in case you're wondering what those noises are while I'm typing, I'm using Opera GX, and it's part of the mods and the theme that I'm using. That when I press keys, that actually makes sounds. Okay, so there's a strange bug where the player moves up. Or should I rather say, yeah, it just moves up, because I don't know if it's actually falling or if it's moving. As soon as the game starts, please help me figure out where this bug is happening. And oh, 2Ps, of course. Explain how I can fix it without fixing it for me. Okay, so let's go through this. Looking at your code, I can identify the issue causing the player to move up at the start of the game. The part is, or rather the problem is in your movement logic in the physics process function. The bug location. The issue is in the line near the end of the physics process, so setting the velocity negative transform basis dot z normalized current speed. At the start of the game, current speed is initialized to 0. However, you are setting the velocity to that instruction, and the negative transform.basis.z vector points in the opposite direction of where the ship is facing. In Godot's 3D coordinate system, the negative z-axis typically points upwards, the y plus direction, when the object is at its default rotation. That's not true. Okay, let's actually make sure. Up direction is on the y-axis. Ah, there we go. So we changed the mode to floating instead of grounded, and I think it was falling, and that's probably what's causing the problem. So let's change that. Go to firing range, Run the scene again. Nope, still falling. Never mind. You can disable the crosshair. Okay, so let's see, what else do we have to change in the physics process? Set velocity. Set velocity in the physics process function. Physics process. Set velocity. Oh, here we go. So let's go into the ready function and set the speed. Current speed to be 0. Make that on ready. So on ready. Do that. Seems fine. Seems okay. Try again. No, still falling. So up is up, down is down. And that crosshair is still there. Yep, still there. Okay, well, it's been 54 minutes and it's already 3 o'clock. And I don't want to keep you. So I'll figure this out. And I'll let you know if I fix it. And if not, we'll debug it in the next session. We'll debug it in the next live stream tomorrow. Yeah. Okay, let's see if I go to DeepSeek. What is it telling me to do? Change it from negative to positive? Or even better, make it more explicit, a forward direction, and then use forward direction. You know what? That's actually true. You can say um, vector 3 dot forward. Okay. Oh no, I opened up Blender by mistake. What about that? Okay. Save, run. Hmm. I'm just trying to figure out what the differences are between the defender ship and the mining vessel. And if I go to the transform, check the rotations, they are all 0. If I go to the defender ship and check the rotations there, they are not 0, they are negative, 90 on the Z axis. Why? That's why. Um, okay, let's try that. Still falling. Didn't help. See, why does this one stay still but the other one falls? It's strange. Okay, well, anyway, it's been an hour. Thank you all for watching and for taking the time to join me on this adventure. I appreciate it very much.